Oh, yeah.
So like if she had a number on her head, she'd look at it and I'd have a number on my head. And then whoever says 9 first, because she had a 7 and I had a 2. Okay, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, sometimes like as a teacher, I used to think like, oh, I can't think of a game, but really the most simple games are the ones they enjoy the best. And it's less to clean up, and it's cheap.
And they go faster.
And they go, yes.
Which is important because you get more repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, so that's a quick game that you could play. All right, so I'm here to help you. Where do you think that you need the most understanding of Singapore? Is there anything like that jumps out like, oh, I don't know, this is what's irritating, I can't stand it, I hate math time?
The only thing I'd say is that with, particularly with the kindergarten book, that you really need to add a lot. There's just not a lot there. And then like some of the things they have in there, like set a place setting for 9 and count all the spoons, the cups, the plates, and things like that. Well, we don't have tables for that, we don't have place settings for that. You know, there's a lot of things you have to improvise and make it something similar.
Right.
But not that.
Right.
So it does take a lot of, I guess, extra planning.
Okay.
So, but I mean, knowing that, I mean, it's not that we can't do that, but
Okay.
that's one of my things that I'm not crazy about with Singapore.
Okay.
And it seems like a lot of times they have something like, that seems to be almost made for a homeschool or something, like have 3 shoes for every child. I'm going to bring 30 shoes to school tomorrow.
Right.
You know, they're just kind of, some of the things are kind of peculiar. They don't, you know, understand some of the things that they've chosen to utilize to teach the concepts.
I mean, some things we have to improvise, but I mean, like, we don't, or like it'll say take everyone to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Like that's the start of the lesson. You're like, well, that's not going to happen today.
I don't remember. What books are you using?
I mean, like, did you use a yellow book? Because there was yellow books in our room, but we're using from a blue book. I mean, it's the...
We use the Early Bird.
Yeah, it's Early Bird. But there's
standard, is it called?
I don't know. I mean, you can look to see if it's the same one that you used. I don't know.
I know that whenever they give you a picture, and I don't have a book, I mean, I had a 3rd grade book, but whenever they give you a picture, and definitely in kindergarten, do they have the workbooks and the textbooks, or they just have the workbooks?
They have them both.
We have activity
Book and
activity.
Textbook and activity.
Okay, yes.
Yeah,
Textbook's
yeah,
wonderful. Activity, like, oh.
Yeah.
But textbook, whatever that picture is what you should do in your classroom.
Picture.
Like
There's always a picture.
Yeah.
Yes, there's always a picture.
Hers is up there, I think.
But that's
Can't
different
show
from the
you.
kindergarten.
But
No,
you're
they-
talking about like the discussion, the picture, like there's 3 birds flying in a tree, and is that what you're talking about, the picture?
Yeah, but I was talking more about
Or you're
when it
talking about
says
the
count the
teacher book?
shoes or count the whatever, like, it doesn't have to be like count the 9 place settings,
Right.
but you could just bring in like those erasers and just make
Right.
sets and count that.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so, yeah.
And that's what we
We
do.
do, yeah.
Is there a textbook under there?
Yeah, but that's not the same as kindergarten, because kindergarten
Yeah,
is
it's
different. It's
Would it show it? What about for 1st and 2nd grade? Would that show them?
No, kindergarten is different from everybody.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But at least the 1st and 2nd grade teachers
Yeah.
would be able to see it.
Because I don't know how.
Yeah, with the first
But-
and
Yeah, that's not.
I know it looks completely different.
Yeah.
But with your books, so whenever they do this, you should be doing this like on the student's desk. They should be doing this as well. So this is not just something to look at and say like, oh, look at this pretty picture of this girl and how she does this. Like, no, they want you to have the place value mats out. They want you to have the place value disc. And your students should be thinking what this little girl is thinking. And you should be directing their thinking to think like this. Because, like, I totally understand and agree that their teacher manuals and their textbooks are not user-friendly, but once you understand the format, they really are. You got to know what they're trying to tell you before. And somebody had to tell me that too. I mean, it's not something you like can figure out. Like, so whenever they have like this, you know, they want you to actually see, like this right here is like that 10 tens is becoming 100. So they want Kathy to actually have 10 tens of something and show her students that it's the same as 100, like concretely in her class. Does that make sense? But yeah, and then again, whenever it's written sideways, never allow your students to change that, because there's a purpose for that. Do you have a question?
Yeah. So should each student have a textbook?
Well, she said that they don't have a textbook this year, that you show it on the thing. And it's really not important, because I could teach this with just this and never show this book.
Because I've never used the textbook. I'm new to Singapore. Never used it before.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would look at whatever they're doing, and I would just, okay, so we need place value charts, we need place value things, and I would do that with the class, and I would never even show this picture, because we're actually doing it ourselves. And then when I do the problems, I would use the terminology they want me to use. I would do the exact examples, like that's the examples that I would use for my class. So yeah. So yeah, and I'll look at y'all's again to see, because
yeah.
I don't remember going
Do
to
you
the
want me to
grocery
run up
store
and get it? I can get it.
for
Is it
everything.
handy?
I can run and go get it, because
We can look at that afterwards.
Okay.
It's okay. Yeah. All right. So the first session they wanted us to go over place value charts. Oh, okay. Before we get to that though, kindergartners, teachers, do you have 5 frames?
Yes.
Okay. Do you use them
Yes.
like religiously?
I do.
Pretty regular.
Okay, your kids should, the understanding of 5 and 10 is vital, because 2 5s make 10, but then every number can either be related to 5 or 10, because you are either, and 0 is considered a 10, of course, because every number is always 2 away from a benchmark. Because if you're 2, you're 2 away from 0. If you're 3, you're 2 away from 5.
So 5 frame better for them than 10 frame?
At the beginning. When you are just introducing the numbers 0 to 5, you only want to give them 0 to 5. Then when you get to 5, then you want to do the 10 frame. Then when you get to your teens, somewhere, I have right here. When you get to your teens, you want to use a double 10 frame, so that they always see 10. Teen numbers are always 10 and more. 10 and 2, 10 and 5, 10 and 7. Always. It did blink. How did that happen? I don't know. Stuff's going on in this room. I don't even know. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, that doesn't matter. But yes, start out with 5 frames, and then go to 10 frames, and then go to double 10 frames. And then also, your place value chart should only have 1s and 10s, because that's as far as you get. First grade, you probably want to start out, your first grade, right? You want to start out probably with 10s and 1s, and then as they get better, then you would introduce a chart that has all 3. Do you get to thousands? Okay, so this is the one that y'all would use. Do you have these? You
No,
should have
I don't
these somewhere.
I don't have any of those.
Okay.
Do you have them?
Well,
I do. Mine are like big.
Big.
ones.
Yeah,
They
they're
have the
bigger.
thousands on them, but we just
Yes. Yep, I know. Yep. So
Did you make those, Julie, or did you
I
order
did.
those?
I mean, they're just photocopies that I laminated.
Right.
So yeah. But yes, and you want to use these like all the time, like every day, all the day, every day, all the day. I'm just kidding. But you do want to use these a lot. Another thing I was going to show you that is important is subitizing. Subitizing is the ability to see a quantity and know immediately what it is. So let me show you, because you'll know this. First of all, you already subitize, because if you roll a dice, do you have to count the dots? That's the greatest test to find if your kids can subitize. If they roll a dice and they have to count the 6 dots, they have no idea of number permanence in their brain. And that's your first step, is to just teach them. And so with kindergarten, even I started off, hey, let's play a game. Roll the dice and say the number. Roll the dice and say the number. Roll the dice and say the number. Then, you can get even bigger dice that have more dots than that. All of these are subitizing with 10 frame cards. I used to have a set that I actually created where I made random dot patterns or different, but when the Lord took me out of the classroom and moved me into an apartment this year, I threw all my stuff away. So,
Oh no.
all right, so tell me what you see.
4.
4. What else do you see?
2 and 2.
2 and 2. And that's the conversation you would have. Because some people do see 2 and 2, some people see 4. And then you talk about, okay, who saw the part? Yeah, 2 and 2 are the part. What's the whole? 4. 4. What do you see?
4 and 0.
4 and 0. Anybody see 1 less than 5?
3 and 1.
I just see 4.
See, I do these with my kindergarten, so like I see 1 less than 5 because I have a 10 frame imprinted in my head from using it so much. So yeah, so this is 4. And then you can obviously see, like once they get that imprint in their head, they can see the relationship. Oh, I need 1 more to make 5. I need 6 more to make 10. And they just did number bonds without even doing a number bond card because you have that conversation when you first start out. What do you see?
4.
4. What else do you see?
6 less than 10.
6 less than 10.
1 less than 5.
1 less than 5. Anybody else? 3 and 1. 2 and 2.
3 and 1.
Yep.
4.
4. And see how it's like different because now they actually see. So like this one is like, well, this, not this one, but this type is a higher thinking than this one. You see it? Because this is like showing you, oh, this is a 10 frame. Anyway, this goes all the way through every single possibility and then throws in some non-possibilities, but you should know that because of dice. But it goes all the way through. I bought these, I don't know, like $9, $10 a set. I don't even know where, but we just go through them every day. What do you see? What do you see? What do you see? What else do you see? And we just talk about it. That builds number sense. And that builds that object in your head. And it really helps with adding and subtracting because right now my son is doing number bonds. And so when he's sitting there and he's trying to add, let's say he's doing 5 plus 3. He should know that. Why should he know that? Because you got 5 fingers and you got 3 more and that's obviously 8. He should know that. But I have realized that he cannot, he has a lot of little things. But one thing that he has is that he has muscle issues, so he can't make the numbers with his fingers very well. And a lot of kindergartners do that because their fingers are not. This hand on me is stronger than this hand, but so he can't make 2 and 3. Anyway, that's a side note. But the first thing that I teach kindergartners is making numbers with their hands. And so like we sit on our hands, show me the number 2. And I make them do it how you would actually do it. Because then 2's up, how many's down? 3. That's how it eventually goes into. Okay? Then 5 and 3. That's a number bond right there. You just learned one math fact and you don't even know you did it. 5 and 3 makes 8. So we have 5 and 3. 5 and 4 makes 9, 10. So we just did show me. Show me 7. And I mean, it literally takes like 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes to show me 1, show me 5, show me 6. And you get faster and faster because at first they're like, you know, and then you get to the point where then you tell them to show you 6 and you see those kids do this. Why do you have to count 5? Like, you got 5 fingers, like, and you just like keep reiterating that because some people like count, oh, they don't have subitizing on their fingers because they don't see, how do you make 3? 1, I gotta count. Like that is really a skill, and if you see that in your students, especially if they're counting on, and I'm not saying like they should not be counting on, I know there's like a time when like teachers like you don't use your fingers. Well, why not? Like God gave them to you, like yes, you do count on. I mean, I teach my son like when you're counting on, hold 5 in your head, point to your head, 5 in your head, count on 4 more. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because he sees 4. You know, so that's like his concrete that he sees right there that he made 4. So I teach my students that it's okay to use your hands and your toes if you need to in order to count. But use your fingers like to make the numbers so that they are really understanding the numbers 1 to 10. Okay.
Jack Hartman has
Yes.
a really great subitizing song, like by 5 and by 10. Have you guys done that one?
We do.
I mean, Like he's like supersize by 5. Or then, but there's one by 10 too. But it goes pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like we've got the 5s. The 10 ones goes a little fast for us, but
I have to check this out.
it's a
That's on my
good
list.
one.
Yeah.
And then they'll use the 5 frame by
Yes.
5. They'll use fingers. They'll they'll
Yeah.
hold up 4 fingers and they're like 4. And so they do it different
It's
ways.
Speaking of that,
pauses
you
so
have-
the kids can
Yeah, it
answer.
pauses. Yeah,
Oh,
it
awesome.
pauses.
You have Subotising cards. They're yellow cards. They're like that thick. They're 2 boxes of yellow cards, and they have all of that. They have the pictures of the 4 fingers. They have like 4 buttons. They have the 4 numbers. They have word form in kindergarten. Yeah,
Oh.
somewhere.
Huh. I haven't seen those, but that's great.
Yeah, somewhere there's a box
Okay.
of.
Okay.
They're yellow. There's 2 boxes of them,
Huh.
but they're yellow Subotising cards. And so a center was always like put them all together. And you'd find all the
Supervised
fours.
up to 10.
Actually, no.
I mean,
10 frames, if it's organized, our brain can see 10. So if it's 5 and 5, or if it's 3, 3, 3, and then 1, you can see. But our brain actually only goes up to 6 or 7 unless it's organized.
Okay.
So like you can see 5 and 3,
Right.
and that's how you make 8, but you actually don't see 8. You see 5 and 3, and
Right.
you know it makes 8. You see 4 and 4, you know it makes 8. You see, but our brain actually only goes up to 6 or 7. But if it's in parts, you can put it together.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but the Subotising, I would say, is just important with your fingers, your dice, and then having that tens frame imprinted in your brain. Because I can tell, that's what, I knew I got on the rabbit trail and chased it down. But what I meant to tell you is that when my son is adding, I can say, think of your 10 frame, and he'll go, oh yeah, I need 3 more, because he can visualize it. We've done it so much, he can see the numbers in his head. And that's what you want your kids to do in the lower grades, K1. All right, so are we good with how to use these? Do you know how to use these for adding and subtracting? No?
I would
Yes?
redo and do like you
Okay.
did the last time.
Okay, so 2nd grade, I've never taught 2nd grade. I remember going through the book. I can't even find what I'm looking for right now. I'll just use Kathy's. Does it transfer to these? Okay,
That's what I use.
that's what you use? Okay. So when you're in kindergarten, you first, popsicle sticks are over here. When you're in kindergarten, you first, so when you introduce, you spend like most of the year on 1 to 9, and then when you get to 10, you want to teach them, as soon as you teach 10, you want to teach them 3 sets of 3. And 10 is the next one. And what we used to do is we used to have those little Unifix cubes, and we would count out 10 blocks. So everybody would get some, and we would count 1 together, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'd make sure they put them in 3 sets of 3. And then when they put that 10th one in, we had like a little ring that was made out of that pipe cleaner, and we would all go ding, 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 because that gets into their head. Every time they see a 10, they have to bundle. Every time they have a 10, they have to bundle. And so, and the dinging, like it was just just something fun to get. So we could count out popsicle sticks. Everybody would get a pile, and that could even be a center. That was a center one time, and you'd have them over there counting out popsicle sticks and putting a rubber band on it, and then you hear ding, 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 and then get another pile. Count what it's in, and they just practice that, because that is a huge skill. So when you're first introducing place value, you always want to have something that can be connected. I just had popsicle sticks at my house. If you want to use the Unifix cubes that actually connect, that they can actually see. And I'm not talking about like this, okay? This is even beyond kindergarten at the beginning. You need to actually have the connect cubes. You know which ones I'm talking about? Yeah.
Those
So
are-
yes. So when you get a rod, like it is like long, and you could just keep connecting them, because then that way they can see. That's what a 10 is. But I had popsicle sticks at home, so that's what you want to start off with. That this is a 10. You could use straws, you could use beans. I've seen some people like glue beans. I don't even know, but that's what you could use for that. That's how you want to start off with 10s. When you're starting off talking about 10 and 5 is 15. Here's a 10, here's 5 individual ones. Then, after they have a really good understanding of that, then you transfer to these. Do y'all have these? Okay. You use these after you are sure that they understand that this is 10. Because this is hard to understand that this is 10, because really this is 1, right? And you got to really understand that my 10 has already been glued together, and it still is 10, even though you didn't glue it together. So, and it's okay if you got like 3 kids that's using these and 7 kids that's using these, because that's where they need to be.
And you can also use straws as a bundle,
yes.
like straws.
Yeah, you can use straws for that, yep. So then we have these, this is what we're going to use today. But then eventually, if you're sure that they understand that this is 10, that's when you make the transfer to these, because this is even more abstract. Because now 10 is just a number, and there's nothing different in size between 1 and 10. They're all the same size, so how do you know that that red is 10 and that white is 1? Because they're the same size, they're the same shape. You with me?
It's just the number that tells you.
Right,
You gotta
but
get
that's
that.
an
It's very
abstract.
abstract.
Right, so that's why you use these until you're sure you can make the transfer to this. Okay, so we're going to use these today because that's where. So if you would just come, you might have to take 2 trips. There are 8 sets. Yeah, so those are a set. That's a set. I need to get this person. Are you going to take those? Because I'll bring your. Sure. They're dollars. Yeah, they have them every holiday.
Oh, okay.
Hi.
Hi.
Have some of my own. That's super dozen, that's what I'm seeing.
Yes.
Kaylee? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that's what I have a question on. But that's all. That's 5 more.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Yep, I got 10. I'm like,
Okay, this was
these guys are doing this every last time I saw you. Like, that's literally her and Kenzie. They have to count it every time.
Okay, so you should. Mike, would help us get a place value chart.
Are we gonna go back and see if it's finished?
You want to do that?
No, it was the
The model drawing, yes, we are. We already did that. The concrete, the concrete blank was any item that can be touched or held, and then the pictorial was anything that can be seen or visualized. Okay, so again, kindergarten you would not have the hundreds, you would just have 1s and 10s on yours, but because this is K2, we're just going to do it all together. So we have this sheet, and then everybody would have a set just like you have on your thing. We would actually go through, every time you do this, you should go through the same procedure, even if it's the last day of school, and you should have them start with 1, and if we add 1, what number do we have? And if we add 1, what number do we have? And if we add 3, what number do we have? 6. And if we add 3 more, what number do we have? 9. And you want to make sure they're putting them in 3, 3, 3.
Is that written down somewhere?
No, that's a Julie Smith rule. Some teachers don't care, but if you don't teach 3, 3, and 3, how do you know when you get to the next one?
Right.
Because you have to keep counting back over and over and over. And so if you do 3, 3, and 3, as soon as you put that next one over, your brain goes ding, 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 ding. And now I have 10, and what's the problem with that? I can't have 10 ones because 10 is a 2-digit number, and I need to have 2 place values. And if I have 1s, I only have, so I need to now trade is the word that you use. I trade out, and you actually literally need to take your 10 ones and line them up to a 110 so that you have your lower kids still see it's the same value, it's still 10. And so we're going to now trade. The 10 ones go away off your board. and make sure they take them off their board, because sometimes they don't take them off their board, and then you're like, what did you do over here? I don't know. And then you put your 1 10s, and now you have 1 10 and 0 1s, and that's how 10 is made. Okay? And you want to do that every time you bring these out, even if that's not what your lesson is on, because it just reiterates what it means. And then if you're going to use hundreds, you would do the same thing. All right, I've got 1 10, so what number is that?
10.
2 10s is?
20.
3 10s is?
30.
And you keep on, you get the idea, you get the 10 10s.
Do you do the 10s like 33 and 3? How you
The
did
same way you
ones?
do the ones.
You could try. I mean, yes. I never
Sideways
used 10s when I was
Oh.
doing, because I was still in kindergarten.
Right.
And we never
They
did
They go
that.
sideways.
But yeah, they do go sideways. But yes, I would always try to keep it in 3s, 3s, and 3s. And then you're actually going to put them all together, just like you would, and let them lay this on top of it so they can see, woo, this is actually the same thing. They just glued all those little rods together and gave you. So now that they understand this is 100, this is a 10, and this is a 1.
So now when you get to the 10s, on the 10, is there a ding 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 also there?
You could. Every time you make a 10, you could ding, ding, ding.
Okay.
Usually, you're not doing that in 1st or 2nd grade. You're not, ding, ding, ding is more kindergarten. So, but you can ding, ding, ding in 1st and 2nd grade if you want to.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
Well,
Yes. Get to be loud for a second.
yeah. Okay, so let's use this for what you would actually. So in kindergarten and 1st, at the beginning, you would just make numbers. So you would just say, make the number 15, and let them make the number 15. And you would check. First off, you would do it. How do you make 15? How do you write the number 15? 1 and a 5. Why do I keep missing my marker? Tied around my neck. What does the 1 mean? The 1 means 1 10. What does the 5 stand for? 5 ones. So, and also, if you've noticed, I don't know in your books, but I know in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade book, when they talk about place value, they always say, what does the 5 stand for? And then they say, what is the value of it? And they use those interchangeably. What is the value of the 1? Because what is the value and what is the place value are 2 different questions. Because the value is 10, is how much is this worth? But what is the place value? That's tens with an S, because it's actually in the tens place. Okay, so they ask those questions over and over for all different numbers. So that's what you would do with these charts if you were, and then you could even add in, so let's add in some adding. We just made the number 15. What would happen if we made 4 more? And then I'd have them count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what is the sum of that? What number did you make now? 19. And then I would take, okay, let's add 2 more. Or actually, I'd probably go with 1 more. Let's add 1 more. Ding, 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 ding. Good, 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 good. You're quick learners.